what do each of those positions in my mind look like for my own personal values in those roles?
Okay.
That's what I thought about after you said that, because you're right. It's a group that's going to create an inner map. But I think this map was more, if my role was in the 9 in the learning center, it would be understanding and independence. If my role was to be the communicator in the center, it would be enthusiasm. That would be my value holding in that. So kind of similar to what Lindsay asked, what does a group mean? And do those values come with me into that group? And how does that work? So that's, I'm glad you said that, Elijah, because it wasn't about me creating a map for a group. It was about my own personal.
Yeah.
I did, most of them were done divinely because I really believe the right ones come into place no matter what. And I didn't have to chuck any this time.
There,
Okay,
Emmanuel's back in San Francisco like God
There
intended.
you are.
There we go.
Aw,
Okay,
perfect.
so Emmanuel, you got sort of cut off. Do you want to sort of finish what you were saying?
Mhm.
Here. Yeah, sorry about that. On my phone, it just all of a sudden did like 1 second, and then I was zapped out there. So I don't
No,
know
the time ran out on the meeting, the whole meeting.
Yeah,
So.
it wasn't.
Oh, okay, it was everybody okay? Yeah, and then I think I found myself, I guess, originally feeling like, I don't know if disappointment was the right word, but that wasn't really a fair emotion because you can't really be disappointed in something until you understand the other person's perspective. So in terms of like going back and getting where everyone's at, I think it would be important to kind of revisit what the overall values are for everything, because then you can appropriately, I don't know if judge is the right term, but evaluate and understand where expectations should kind of be managed when you know what everyone kind of agrees to, I guess, use as a foundation moving forward. And I think without that, it makes it difficult to operate. I think it's one of the problems we had in the Learning Center as far as drawing things together. There was never, I guess, a communal agreement on values. Like everyone communally gets together and says, we think that accountability, let's say, is a top 5 value, then everything moving forward can be kind of viewed from that accountability lens. But without doing that, there's nothing to really hold anyone accountable to anything. So I guess under that kind of evaluation and I guess meditating on it, it's perfectly both reasonable and unreasonable for someone to do or not do something until there's communal values agreed upon. Because without that, I guess I'm more or less imposing my own values on everybody else, which isn't really practical or fair. So I kind of realized that after emailing Elijah that like, it's not really, I'm making something that's my problem, everyone's problem, until we all agree to the same values. And then it's all going to be everyone's problem. Until then, it's my problem. So my problem isn't you guys' problem, but I'd like us to all hopefully have the same problems in the context of like agreeing on values.
We don't want problems.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I'm going to take it properly, but like in the context of agreeing on the same stuff.
Okay, we're on a time thing here, so we're going to have to, I just want to, the point was, I guess, with Sylvia and Michelle not doing the work last week and not doing the work this week. I'm just wondering, am I giving too much work? Like to give homework in between, is it too much?
No.
Is there something I have to do? But I also know we get busy and you know, who knows what are in your lives. And that was the point Emmanuel was just bringing up around, you know, what are we getting done in here and how much are we getting done and when it gets done kind of thing. So,
Right.
Michelle and Sylvia, do you want to have a little bit of a response to that? But kind of keep it quick if you can.
Yeah. No, not too much work. And it's, for me, I know it's just an intention to take the time to complete it. So this week, my intention was to complete it, but I just wasn't sure of that second step. So I knew I had the 10 cards or the 10 values, and I didn't want to just assume that that's what I needed to do. So I didn't do it, but I could have also reached out to find out for clarity. So yeah.
Okay, and again, anyone like Emmanuel did, feel free to send me an email, and you know, I'll respond as quickly as I can. If you have questions about anything, at some point it'd be nice to have the map with the instruction and all that. And so on my own part, I apologize for not having things at the level I would like. And Michelle?
Yeah, no, it's not too much work. And I'm not guilty, I'm not using that word, but there's ever fluctuating priorities and work-life balance, all that kind of stuff. So stuff blew up at work in the past couple of weeks that have kept me more than occupied, and my child is currently being raised by YouTube. So when I'm not working, I prioritized him over this. But that's not to say that I can't rejig things and be accountable. And honestly, there was a part of me that was watching. Part of my brain had interpreted this exercise as a group exercise that we were going to connect at some point, whether it be by email or whatever, to collectively choose the values. And I guess I was just going, I'll wait until I see an email from somebody to start that conversation. So that was a misunderstanding on my part, and I didn't follow up on the end of it for sure. I am curious to hear how Sylvia did place her values while the others were talking.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so Sylvia, because what we're going to do is we're going to, the exercise of the week is to create a synergy map, which is in the next map of what we're going, which is the group map. So Sylvia, if you want to quickly give me your values that you come up with, and then we'll go into that.
Okay, and I'll email this out to everybody too, just so they have it. So number 9 was divinity, and then we go from 1 to 8, goodness, respect, consistency, generosity, honor.
Just slow down a bit.
Okay.
Honor.
Unity, humor, compassion, and the center is courage.
Oh, wow. And your intention for
Whoa,
that?
double courage.
I didn't set an intention, but my intention from the first map, which I think worked for me last time, was, hang on, show me what I need to know to grow personally and in business. So
Okay.
I'm just going to stick with that.
Okay, lovely. Okay, so if you get your pen and paper in hand, I'm going to give you another map.
Okay.
And
Okay.
this is, remember, in the info matrix, there's 4 levels. There's the inner you, the outer you, the inner group, and the outer group. So the inner you is the choice wheel, the outer you is the flow wheel, which you just did. The inner group is the synergy wheel, and the outer group is the harmony wheel. So it's at the community, the organization, the outer you, and the inner you. So the synergy, if you draw a circle and put 9 dots on it, and it's now this is level 3, so it's 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, 3.5, 3.6.
Is this a big circle again, or are we doing a donut? Right, donut, big
Like,
circle.
The big circle, and
So, okay.
draw the Enneagram on it.
I don't know if I have it right, so.
You 369.
Okay, I was drawing
Remember,
circles.
1, 4.
remember the triad is the triangle is 936,
Right, yeah.
right? And then you just put the numbers around it.
Okay, I was drawing inner, outer.
That's another map. That's a good map too, and I will send you that one too.
Can you guys see it okay?
It's a little tough.
No, I just didn't use a felt pen. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so what else are we doing? We've got the
Okay,
circle.
so you've got the Enneagram, you got a circle, and if you're ready at the 3.1 position, there's 3.1 is research.
Well, 3.1. Okay.
At 3.2 is infrastructure. At 3.3 is learning. At 3.4 is operations. At 3.5 is creativity. At 3.6 is synergy. At 3.7 is services. At 3.8 is interphasing or marketing. You can write marketing for now. 3.8 is marketing. And then at 3.9 is stewardship. And then in the middle at 3.0 is communication. So if you look at the maps, they're in levels. And when you look down the silos, if you look down one and you're at level 3, you're at research. But then if you're level 2 at the flow map, you're at fields. So you're researching fields. The flow word is like the reference point for the larger concepts that we're having. So if you look at 3.2 is infrastructure, 2.2 is resources. So the infrastructure is the connectivity of the resources. And if you look at 3.3, you have learning, and at 2.3, you have jobs. So you're learning jobs. Then at 3.4, you have operations, and what are you operating? You're operating the activities at 2.4. And then if you look at creativity at 3.5, at 2.5, you have products. So you're creating products. Then at 3.6, you have synergy. And what are you synergizing? You're synergizing the relationships at 2.6. Then if you look at services and what are you servicing? You're servicing the path that you're taking the customer down. Then at 3.8, you're marketing. And what are you marketing? At 2.8, the strategies. And then at stewardship at 3.9, what are you stewarding? You're stewarding the agreements at 2.9. And then at communication in the middle, what's the essence of the communication? It's the conversations at 2.0. So we create a vertical alignment between the models. One is at the individual level and one is at the group level. So the infrastructure is just basically all the resources of the individuals put together. The operations are basically all the activities of the individuals put together. The synergizing is basically all the relationships that you're all involved with, right? So and then if you look at the time structure that's underneath that, you can see that marketing is in the present moment. Your services are minute to minute. Your synergy is at hours. Your creativity is over a period of seasons. Your operations are daily. Your learning is over a period of a lunar cycle. Your infrastructure is over a period of a year. And your research is over a period of a lifetime. And your stewardship is timeless. It's beyond all the time. And then in the center, your communication is all of those cycles connected together. So what we're doing here is we're really bringing in like the difference between, let's say, Emmanuel, let's say you're doing the accounting, you're at the infrastructure, and you're looking at the needs of the money for the learning center over the entire year. It's a very different thinking, isn't it, than if you're, if Sylvia is with a client doing minute-to-minute programs. Both of those are very different time perspectives. So that's something which I haven't seen, I guess, in organizational design in business. This is, aside from adding now the values. So I'll put it to the floor for comments, insights, questions. Sylvia, would you like to start?
Well, I'm amazed. I know I've seen this with Lori and stuff like that, but to actually walk through it step by step, I think it has more impact instead of, you know, just maybe being shown and talked about. To actually do the maps one by one and then see how they interconnect is amazing. Yeah, amazing.
Thank you. Michelle?
Yeah, I agree. It's now, oh, I like with that overlay, the kind of the vertical scope. That explanation just brought another piece in it for my brain to go, oh, there we go. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Emmanuel? Okay.
Yeah, I think your analogy about the accounting and the different kind of roles really brings it together. About how, especially when you relate it to an actual organization, you see kind of how it was functioning before and how it can function when you get a more clear understanding. And not just you as an actor of any of the roles, but if everyone kind of understands the differences in thinking necessary, I think it makes you kind of value the uniqueness in someone else's ability a little bit more. So, good.
Lori?
What really stood out for me is because I do understand, if I can just share my LR future map, for example, and if you look at infrastructure, right, you can see that it's resources and infrastructure on there. So I'm always linking those together as I'm looking at my map. But one thing I'm noticing, Elijah, through this process is that, you know, the lifetime cycle, the yearly cycle, I'm going, holy cow, that totally makes sense. So when I see the steward of even me at LR Future within my company, my organization, and I see that steward role or whatever that role is in agreements is timeless.
Yeah.
That gets me excited. So now seeing present moment marketing relationships are hourly. So I'm like Emmanuel, when you use that example of being the accountant, looking after the money, the resources, where's that going to come from to do this? And Sylvia's over here one-on-one getting programs set up. Wow. And then I look at Michelle and I see operations and activities, because that's in a role that you play. That's kind of you.
Yep.
So it's like, it's how each of us in our personalities can fit into each role. And we can also fit into double roles, but we're going into roles that build our soul. Not just a role for the sake of doing it and the sake of getting paid for it and whatever it be, but actually being in a role that is actually making our hearts sing.
Mm.
Wow, this is powerful. Like I said, you know, having the present moment timelessness lifestyle, that's what's hit me right now, Elijah, big time.
Mm.
Wow.
So what's going to come clear for you is like there's, as you get the framework and memorize it, and then you all have it, that becomes a reference point again for discussing and organizing. As soon as you go infrastructure and we got to do this, you know, you all kind of go there in your mind and, you know, what are we going to do with services? Again, you all have the same reference point to understand on the conceptual map where you're at. And I think that that's huge. And if you look at each one of those is going to be a team. You're going to have a research team. You're going to have an infrastructure team. You're going to have a marketing team. So the shared knowledge community is when you fill those teams, and now as opposed to going, okay, well, we're creating a widget and everyone's job is to sell those widgets and to do everything around widgets. It's not. This is around finding out what your gifts are, finding out what you want to create, going on the team that you want to create. And then you play that role, but then you'll be creating product teams. I mean, Manuel may go, hey, I got an idea for an app, and you know, here's the design, this is what I'm thinking. And then you go, okay, well, we need someone from, you know, the marketing team, we need someone from the infrastructure, we need this, we create a product team, here's the percentages, here's the work's got to be done, and boom. So within the shared knowledge community, there's just this hive of creative innovation where each of you may have a great idea, but you didn't have the resources to bring it into the world. But now everyone's going to have the resources, and it's going to be a matter of, you know, negotiating time, negotiating agreements. But the I think that we're very different when our gifts are in the right place, and then we are interacting with others who know our gifts and we know theirs. And you know, it's not, again, structured like a corporation where you're fitting to get the widget sold and to do the shareholder value and for somebody else's goals. This is all going to be in alignment with your lifetime goals and the goals of the organization, and you know, the values as you choose them. So the energy of the place is going to be very different, because it truly will be a learning center. I mean, it's just like, it's anyway, I'm very excited because I've never really had a team of people sort of get it to the point where you get it right now. So it's incredible.
That's huge. Yeah.
So it like removes this load of frustration that you couldn't believe. No one has understood what I'm talking about, you know, and it takes a while to sort of get it, right? So okay, so your assignment of the week is to, on your own, create a value system on the synergy map in the same methodology that we're doing, but to kind of look at, you know, what are your deal breaker? What do you really feel is going to be the best synergy map for this organization? And then next week, we'll negotiate and figure out what that synergy map is together. And then you'll have this synergy map of values that you agreed upon. But then as you bring people into the organization, now you're not going to go through that same process with them. They can create their own individual values, but you're saying, these are the values that we're going to go with. And do you want to participate in that kind of thing? So now this becomes the door to see who is appropriate and who, you know, is going to share that same methodology of using, let's say, this operating system to run the learning center.
Okay, so can I just get somebody else to repeat that whole thing, just so we have a second
Lori, do you want to do that?
Me? Yeah. Okay, so the way that we just did the map that we did, you pick a value all around the 9 points and as well in the center. So the synergy map is the inner group, or the inner group of the learning center, let's say. And what we do is we go, okay, in the role of research, what's the highest value that you would hold as a group, or you think that as a group could be there? And then you pick values for each of those positions on the synergy map, as well as the center, again, with communication. And then I believe what we'll do next week is we review them, and we'll start to see overlaps. And like Elijah said, that inner map will be a map that'll be with the learning center. It's not like you change the map because someone new came in. The map is there, and then they do their own values to fit into that map, which totally makes sense, Elijah, because my map was done in 2012, and when a new person started on years later, it was like, well, now you do a new map. That's what I was told. Now I'm seeing how strong it is if it gets a base foundation to the learning center.
Okay.
So did I explain that okay, Sylvia? Michelle?
So. Yeah.
Michelle, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Oh, God, yes. All right.
So any questions, insight, intuitions that you want to share? We'll do another round before we end. And
No, I think I'm good. I'm good. I would like a nicer map, but
I'll be sending you nice ones. I've
Okay.
been holding off a bit, but we'll be having nice ones.
Okay.
I can share off of what Sylvia said. It was when Sylvia said, I see Lori's map all the time. She'll bring things up. We're having a marketing meeting while we need money, and what's the product and how are we going to shift what we're putting out there. But for a person to actually physically go through it, you're even drawing your own map. Elijah's not handing us a map. He's having you draw it. And that's exactly what Kaylee said to me when she did hers. She goes, that is so powerful when you're actually drawing it and you're writing the steps on each point. So, you know, it's like doing it. No, don't feed them a fish, teach them.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Sylvia, because I haven't quite done it that way myself working with people, and it's time.
Yeah, it really does just put a new light on things,
Yeah.
right? And it makes it yours or theirs, right? It's not Lori Renton's, it's theirs. Yeah.
There's another set of cards at the Learning Center that belong to Rochelle. If you guys want to use the cards, please feel free. They're there. Come and sit down in the Learning Center for a half an hour and do your map. It's empty in there right now anyway.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Manuel or Michelle?
Sorry, go
No,
ahead, man.
go ahead.
No, I don't have much to add. It's just it is, like I said, just the exercise, and I agree there is, you know, science behind having to actually translate it into writing or have it processed through your body and exit out. Helps solidify. That's how I launched my lofty academic career. It's like I either have to go to class or I have to read the book. So I'll go to class and take notes. Did I ever look at the notes? Rarely, but it was just the exercise of processing what was being said and getting it down. So this has been a very valuable exercise for that, for sure.
I'm interested in seeing the potential for harmony when everyone has their maps done. As far as this juncture of things, I think it's really important to have the values be the same. If you have an organization where the values are different, it can't work. Not even that it doesn't work, it can't. So I think it'll add a lot of clarity for not just us, but anyone coming into something, just so they know what they're getting into. I think oftentimes when there's no clarity, it's because you don't know what to expect. And having a map like this, it makes it abundantly clear kind of what to expect, and you know where you fit in or don't fit in, which either is perfectly acceptable. So I'm excited to see what the one general map's going to look like.
So I just want to put out there, Lori, you and I think you and I made a map for Life Matters Learning Center as well. We should probably have that present with us, just for not comparison, but just so it's there. What do you think, Elisha?
Yeah, because it definitely is in the field. It has been operating in the background, kind of whether you know it or not. And,
Yeah.
you know, there's transitions from one sort of map to the other. It's
Right.
based upon the agreement of the people involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
For sure.
So what I'll do, I think, if I'll have it somewhere, I'll scan it and I'll email it to everybody, just so everybody has a copy.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and I've sent I think to everyone, I sent the beginning of your card set from the conversational cards,
Yeah.
synergy cards.
Yeah.
I'll send you a front to them, and then you print them like on cardstock.
Back to back. Yeah.
And you can, let's say, go to a nice printer and print them nice and get them laminated and cut them yourself. And it's the beginning of 8 cards. Some of them are doubles on this, but it's the beginning of you building your card set. And so another aspect of what we're doing is at the synergy perspective, at hours, at relationships, these cards, you have 8 conversation types. And they're, you know, clearing, appreciating, healing, conflict, synchronizing, synergizing, grieving. So these are all conversation types that have a big impact on your relationships. And I thought to start, you know, generally I see with everyone needs healing in some way.
Mm-hmm.
What this is going to do is this is going to bring up a large field of energy for everyone to sort of participate in their own healing. And I think that's what we need across the entire planet, right? I mean, we've had thousands of years of trauma, thousands of years of insanity and war, and we have that intergenerational trauma within us. And now we're coming into a new world, right? Where hopefully billions of people don't want that anymore. And we're going to go towards a place where we're not going to have that. And part of this ethical business system is creating a new business system that isn't based upon corruption, isn't based upon all of the scamming of the past. It's based upon us setting new ethical standards and living by it. And you guys are like a living model of that. So, you know, huge gratitude and appreciation for you guys doing what you're doing right now. Pioneers in the field of human existence, I think.
Elijah, this is really just almost brings tears to me. Because like you say, we're all going through some form of healing from whatever trauma and however you think of that is going on. And even through doing this from 2012 to now, how much healing I've gone through. And normally my personality, I have no problems. I've got great this and I've got this and this is all going good. But you start to realize that even if you're high energy and moving all the time, what's COVID done for me? It's brought me back to, oh, my meditating, just chilling. So it's like a personality trait that we have, and this helps take you, what does that personality need if it's wired all the time? It's not healthy. So it needs that quiet time and stuff. So I found that even through this process with you four and Elijah facilitating has been healing for me. Because I always see big pictures, and it's not always easy to explain the big picture to the mass.
Right.
So when we have a map, all of us together build, we see that picture. And that's the inner group map. So wait till the outer group map comes and it goes to the world. That's powerful. And to think that we're number 2 doing this and we're in Saskatchewan, wow.
Little old Saskatchewan,
Good old Saskatchewan, yeah.
blazing a trail.
Yeah.
I just took the liberty because I get distracted trying to draw the shape. So I just shared everybody in Zoom, just a template to start with.
Was that the blank Enneagram PDF?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I didn't
Yes.
open file.
And again, if any of you,
Nice. Thank you.
sometimes, you know, I don't know how this works or something, but if you're going through a healing crisis, if anyone is going through something which is overwhelming, please feel free to contact me. I will make myself available in whatever form you need. Most of the time, it's just an ear and a bit of feedback. And so I am at your service and disposal during this process at any time. You know,
Thank you.
anytime.
Awesome.
Okay, so I guess that's the end of this session. We did a lot in a little time, and I think we are progressing quite well. And again, sort of, if I tend to go a little bit too far too fast, so if we are, give me feedback. I think a map at a time seems to be quite good.
Mm-hmm.
And but I'm sort of adding the cards, and I'll always add a little bit more just to see how far we can go. But again, keep me in line.
No, it's all good.
Just let me know.
Thank you, Elijah, so much for taking us on and taking us through this journey. It's beautiful. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, guys, have a great week, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with next week.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye,
All
everyone
right.
watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.